Greetings, this is Star Illumination. This is a little video for the Sagittarius types in part of a series, the North Node in Aries. It's a transit. It's running from July 2023 right now till early January 2025. It's an 18.5-year cycle to go from here to here. That's all the way around all 12 signs. And then it repeats. 37 years. And so it's about 1.55 years in each sign. Okay, and it all adds up. So right now, where we are is at the beginning of this transit. This is the transit of the North Node in Aries. So how does that apply to you Sagittarius types? Now, I'm not saying that you are born with this. You don't have to have it. It just happens to be transiting the whole of planet Earth right now, and we're looking at it through the lens of the Sagittarian types. It doesn't matter whether you've got planets here in the Libra sector in your 11th house or not. The transit's going to happen here anyway, so it may or may not mean too much to you. If you have a lot of planets here, it might be very significant for you. A couple of things I want to point out. It is a long journey, and most people don't even come into awareness of it until after the second cycle, like after the age of 37. Because a lot of people live, unless you're like already super well evolved and you have a lot of stable elements in your nature, your astrology, chances are a lot of us are living off of basically reflex behavior, DNA, conditioning from childhood, conditioning from past lives, and so on. And your path in life, it more or less is it's reflex behavior. And then you start to get to a point later on in life, well, wait a minute, I have options, I have choices, like what am I actually doing with my life? But for a lot of people, that awareness doesn't come until late or very late. So let's just give it the 37-year mark. I mean, a lot of people are waking up much earlier these days, so you might be aware of this whole North Node concept and your own astrological spiritual nature in your mid-20s or even early 30s. That's happening more and more these days. So anyway, you have a 1.5 year opportunity right now to make the best of this transit. Let's point out another thing. The Libra energy and the Sagittarius energy is very harmonious. If this was a chart of somebody and there were planets here and planets here, these would be in sextile arrangements, harmonious elements of opportunity, comfort, ease, grace, ability to have healthy expressions of the Libra-Sagittarius vibes, simultaneously supporting each other. If you had a lot of planets over in Virgo over here, that you might have difficulty because those would be natural squares. But anyway, let's get back to you here. So for you, dear Sagittarius, the Libra South Node is transiting your 11th house. It's transiting on the Aries North Node, it's transiting your 5th house. So let's look at some basic elements over here. We're talking about Libra, the sign of love and relationships, harmony and balance, being immersed in a situation where there's you and a significant other. And with the South Node here, we're talking about taking it to the point where it becomes unhealthy, where you become so immersed in the context of relationship and significant others where you lose your identity. You lose the sense of your sovereign self. Who are you? In other words, who are you without a relationship? It's a very good question. Who am I without a relationship? Because in the context of relationship, of course, you get the sacred gift of the mirror. What am I going to do without the mirror of the relationship? Well, guess what? You can be yourself anyway. You can be your own sovereign self. So there's a constant to and fro as you learn and evolve. You start here and you learn through negative experiences and positive experiences that it actually feels really good to go in this direction. So in this direction, we would be talking about grasping what it means to become your genuine sovereign self, where you have the right, the permission, the duty, obligation, the sacred loving act to love thyself and put yourself first. Okay? There's all sorts of ways people describe that without being selfish or an egomaniac or a narcissist. It's the way they describe, put your oxygen mask on when you're in an airplane that's crashing before you go out and try to help other people. Okay, so that's sort of the concept we're talking about. So over here, you might be noticing in your life that you've got relationship dynamics where you might feel very lost and perhaps confused and without any substance or sense of direction or compass, because you notice in certain relationship dynamics like, wow, I've completely sublimated myself to this other person or this other group. Remember, the 11th house is very much to do with groups, societies, community. In extreme negative forms, it would be things like cults. It also, some people call it a house of hopes and dreams and wishes. In this case, I'm focusing more on the relationship dynamics. So, for example, you might be heavily immersed in a community type setting, whatever that might be, your social media group, your local church group, local book reading club, local archery club, local astrophysics and astronomy club, who knows what, any kind of club or group or community where you love to hang out and you've always felt that way and it's just your natural default setting, and you're starting to realize there's something really wrong here. It's like not working for me. Like, how come nobody acknowledges me or recognizes me? I'm super smart. I have a lot of wisdom and I share so much with others, and yet everyone else seems to take me for granted. That's not cool. But that's what happens when you start giving and giving and giving yourself so much for free that everybody starts to take it for granted. Well, that's what that Sag person is doing. So, let's just take it. If they're just giving it away, I'll take it. And so you can get immersed. You might have attitudes and beliefs and perceptions and understandings about life in the world that are actually contradictory to the community or the cult or the relationship or relationships. But since you would desire so much peace and harmony and balance and love, you would be very reluctant to step out and earmark yourself as going against the community, because then you could be rejected from the community, and that's very, very painful for some people. I've been excommunicated. Where do I belong? Who am I without them? Oh. Okay, and so can you see how that's very self-defeating, and it's actually very unhealthy? So if you've been wallowing in that for a long time, years, even up to 37 years, and you started to realize what we just described as a problem, there is an alternative. And the alternative is to say enough is enough. I've had moments and glimpses in my life where it actually feels really awesome when I just go out on my own. I shut the door. I don't ask for permission to go here, do this, be this person, say that, say this, behave in a certain way or not. Sometimes I just like to go out the door and maybe, go on a hike. Well, guess what? That's probably the best thing you can do. So instead of being lost in all your light and energy disappearing in the kaleidoscopic light of the Aquarian 11th house of community, where there is it's all decentralized, like who's the king, the boss, the leader here? Let's get something going. I'm a Sagittarius. I have tremendous wisdom to offer. Forget it. You're wasting all your time and energy here. What about going off on your own? What about setting yourself up as a star, as someone who shines bright above and beyond what would be acceptable in the community? Because that would mean You are trying to exploit and stand out in the community as though you're better than. You see where the problems lie? So when you start getting a taste of the Aries North Node experience, go for it. Give yourself the chance to step out on your own. Set up a little business, a craft, an art, a skill, a hobby. It could be so many different ways of self-expression where you put yourself on the stage, center stage. With all that wisdom, who knows, you could create a podcast. You could create a YouTube channel. You could hold classes, hold seminars, and teaching amazing things. And people start to recognize you as a shining light, like a star in your field. Not a star in your community, a star in your field. Do you see there's a huge difference? It would be like, let's say there's people out there who want to know more about something, and you've got that wisdom. And they're searching online and they stumble on something that makes them, oh, I like that one. Who is that? So they click on there, and that's you. And you're going out there completely fearlessly voicing yourself in pure Sagittarius, unabridged language, regardless if anybody thinks you're being rude or insulting or outspoken. Because maybe it's about time some people heard the truth. Well, even if it's a subjective truth from you, dear Sagittarius. You have a right to freedom of speech. You have a right to create an expression. It's a creative self-expression. So go for it. Shine your light. Don't worry about what the community says. You're creating your own light, your own energy field, and it starts to feed on itself. It feels really, really good, especially if you are, let's say, just very physical about this. Remember, Aries, we're talking about Mars. Got to get what I need. Got to do what I got to do. Have what I have to have. Say what I have to say. Fight for what is right. And I'm not scared of being in front, being the leader. Somebody's got to do it. I'm not going to ask for permission now. If I have to, I'll apologize later. But typically, I'm already right before I know what I'm doing. Before I've decided how I'm going to do it. I'm already there. So, give yourself permission, okay, Sag, to be totally unleashed, okay? Go for center stage. You will shine, okay? I hope that makes sense to you. I hope you get something out of this. Give yourself permission to be number one, all right? So I hope that makes sense for you. Please, I should have said this already. Hold on. If you want to get deeper into this, you can go to Terra Illumination. Please donate. You can also book a reading. We'll go much deeper into it, and we can throw in all sorts of delicious interpretations when we get your chart, okay? Meanwhile, please, dear Sagittarians, watch the primer video about this whole series. The video is called Aries North Node. It's in that list. There's a whole pile of videos all strung together, and you can figure it out from there, okay? Watch that one, because that pertains to all the signs. Also, if you are in a relationship, you might want to do a bit of cross-watching. Be a cross-watcher. What's the sign of your significant other? Maybe you want to watch that video, see what they're going to have to deal with during this transit, okay? All the best, Sag. Take care. Number one, that's you. Love thyself.